Today we're going to be talking about latitude and longitude. Latitude and longitude create what we call spherical coordinates or geographic coordinates. These are very commonly used. You've already seen them, or you will see them on your GPS. You'll see them in any kind of a global data set because it is the coordinate system for expressing data that's global. It's important to know that the key important thing with latitude and longitude is that they're spherical coordinates instead of geographic. In other words, they're angles, okay, from the 0, 0 coordinate, okay, they're angles up to any point on the surface of the Earth. Longitude is the angle along the equator, okay, and then latitude is the angle up from the equator to our point that we're have a coordinate for. Okay, a little more detail. So with longitude, there are lines of longitude or lines of constant longitude. These are also called meridians. In other words, longitude slices the Earth from north to south. The prime meridian is at Greenwich, England. There are some other prime meridians in history, but all modern data that I've seen goes through Greenwich, England as 0. Okay, so this is the 0 line. Any points along this line are going to have a 0 longitude, all the way from the North Pole to the South Pole. Okay, and then there's 30 degrees as we go out to the east, 60, 90, etc. And they slice up the Earth like you're slicing up an orange, right? There's like slices of an orange. And along here, any point along here is going to have the same longitude. Similarly, there are lines of latitude, also known as parallels, that slice the Earth up horizontally or parallel with the equator. Okay, here's the equator, or 0 longitude. All points along this line have a 0 latitude. Sorry, I think it's latitude. And then there's other lines of latitude. Here's 30 and 60 degrees, going all the way up to 90 at the North Pole and down to negative 90 at the South Pole. So these are again referred to as lines of latitude, or parallels. Okay, so meridians and parallels. And together these divide up the Earth, and you've already seen these lines, also known as graticules when they're together, on maps, especially older maps of the world. Okay, there are different versions of latitude and longitude. By far the most common one that we work with once the data is inside of a computer goes from -80 all the way around, -80 all the way around to 180. Okay, so here we've got a view of the Earth from above, looking down on the North Pole. Okay, so this would be the equator running around here, and you can see that prime meridian is at 0, and then as we sweep around to the east, the numbers become negative, and to the west they become larger and larger positive until there's 180. As you cross over, keep going to the east, they will flip from 180 to -180, and the opposite is true. Going from -180 across this line, you go to 180. Okay, very important to know because again we get a lot of data that's in geographic. Now this is one version. The older version of expressing longitude is east and west. So in other words, here we're at 0, which could be east or west, and then as we move to the east you will see an E added. So we'll talk about being 90 degrees to the east, or east 90 degrees, east 180 degrees, west 180 degrees. So it's a W or an E. Now this is used very commonly on maps. You will see it. However, it doesn't work well with computers. The whole letter thing doesn't work. So with computers, we will use the minus. This is also referred to as decimal degrees instead of degrees, minutes, and seconds, which we'll talk about in the next video. Okay, with latitude, again, we're measuring up from the equator. So here we're looking at the Earth along the equator, and the prime meridian is now over here. Okay, and so we're at 0 at the equator, and then as we move up towards the North Pole, we see increasing values, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 until we reach the North Pole. Similarly, as we go down to the South Pole, okay, we go from 0 down to -90. Again, we're seeing +90, -90. And there's an older system where we would say 90 degrees north or north 90 degrees. Okay, 90 degrees south or south 90 degrees. Okay, so either way, same values, just an N and an S instead of a plus or a minus. And again, this is the one we prefer, but this is still commonly used.